songs too loud? Did I leave my life to chance, or did I make you?
All right, guys. Last key knowledge point, bit of global concepts to get us going, because what we're looking at today is global considerations. Last key knowledge point for operations management, and this is the last time you guys will have any key content videos for about a week and a half or so, and then I'll work out and let you guys know what we're doing from there. So we're looking at each of these things that needs to be considered when we're going through operations management. So we're looking at global sourcing of inputs, overseas manufacturing, global outsourcing, and supply chain management, what that is. So let's get into it. Very first thing, so global considerations in operations. Because things like globalization and other things like that, we now live in a world where countries are accessible to each other, except for currently where all the borders are shut. But many businesses, we're going to look into other countries to try and look at ways to improve their business. So they might look for higher quality materials. They might look for cheaper materials. They might look for places near lots of customers, so that way they can get their product out quicker. Or they might look for skilled people. Germany's really well known for this, to try and really get a niche in that area. So very first one, global sourcing of inputs. What that essentially just is when we get our inputs from another country apart from the one that we're currently operating in. So if it was Australia, we might go through and get our inputs. It might be gold or something like that from another country and use that for our products. The reason why we do this is it might have higher quality in other areas, might be cheaper, might be lower labor, so it saves us money, or there might be lower taxes in other countries, so we save money that way. So we go through the key advantages of overall. Production costs will be cheaper because we're getting it from a country that might be able to get it for us cheaper because lower wages there. Productivity, we're not actually making the actual product, so it means we're using less resources to get it into us. Lower prices, which we can therefore transfer to our customers or keep for ourselves. Boost competitiveness because of the reasons before, such as quality or lower prices. We might be able to attract customers, but the bad things about this is if we suddenly start selling things internationally or getting products internationally, it means we need to compete against international businesses, which causes an issue because they might be cheaper or they might be able to do it better. The other key thing is inputs may not be on the same level. If we get something from a country that is known for not really high quality, e.g. maybe China or things like that, that could impact on our overall output. And also it stops Australian jobs, which we know is a bad thing for our economy overall. So a couple of really key examples of this. We know Telstra has call centers overseas. The Costa groups go through and they have a look and they get oranges and stuff like that out overseas. Boeing, so the people that are going through make the Boeing aircrafts, they actually go to France, South Korea. They've got an area set up in Australia, and they get different inputs from those different countries for their products. Now we look at overseas manufacturing. This is very similar to the last point, but instead of going through and just getting the inputs and the processes to create the outputs, that whole process happens overseas. So they create the whole product overseas, then they send it to the country where it's located to get the product actually done. So we know really key reason why they do this is it might be cheaper wages, saves them a lot of money, and also it might be able to get the product out quicker. If we're an Australian company and if we have a factory set up in America, it allows us to sell those products to America really quickly. Really good thing is it might be able to get advantage of experts. So people like in Germany or different places like that are really well known for their manufacturing skills. So that could help us out overall because they might be able to do a better job. Lower setup costs. If there's a facility that's already making products and we get them to make more for us, that's going to have lower setup costs because otherwise we're going to build our own factory and other things like that here. But the bad thing is we will lose control over that production process. So they might skip out on quality, they might not do quality checks, they might throw out a lot of wastage. That could be an impact overall. And the other key thing is that corporate social responsibility impact is we don't have a control over how much they pay their wages or how they treat them or anything like that. That could cause really bad publicity if customers find out about it or anything from there. So you've got to be careful of that. Global outsourcing. This is just when we send a service aspect of our business overseas. So we get someone else to go through and do that in another country. So the really key thing is we get them to do a service type activity for us. So really key reason, again, you might use the experts, you might save costs and all of those key things. It might actually help out our business here because we're allowed to focus on other things. So some of the things that people send overseas: call centers, finance, packaging, distributing, research analysis, data entry. A big key example of the packaging distributing section is something like Amazon, where a lot of people are paying Amazon for a shelf, and they would send out the products, pack it up, and make sure it all goes out to the customers from there. So that's a really key example of that. And go from there. Really cool thing is, again, take advantage of those experts. If we've got people that are really good at finance and we get them to do it, awesome. Might be lower cost if they can do it at a cheaper price, because it might be just cheaper wages, things like that. It improves efficiency again. We'll be using less resource to do that type of area. But the bad thing is we're going to lose that control. Something like a call center overseas might actually result in poorer customer satisfaction because they might be really, really angry, which also fits in with the language and cultural barriers. And also your business, the chances are that they're doing this for another business, so they might not receive the full attention to your business, which could impact your customers overall and your experience, which could be a really bad thing. Last key point is looking at the supply chain management. What this basically is looking at the process and the flow. So flow is something we looked at lean management. So from suppliees to the supplier. So basically all that is getting the inputs into our business to getting the end product out to our customers. So it's making sure that process is done as well as possible. So every good and service that reaches them needs to make sure it's an effort from all the businesses that are involved in it. So our suppliers, we need to make sure that they're really, really well and efficient. And then also we need to make sure that it works really, really well, because if it doesn't work well, it's going to impact maybe the quality of the end product, the cost of the end product, all of those key things from there. A key example would be, if I'm a shirt company, it might be getting materials shipped into my business. Then it might be making my t-shirts. Then again, looking at it getting traveled out to our supplier, which might be a closed store that actually sells the product for us. So the reason why we'd go through and have a look at this is, as I said already, we need to make sure that we have clear access to our suppliers and also access to sell to our customers. It's about that availability thing. We also want to have a look at the quality of our supplies that we're getting, and also make sure that we're constantly reviewing. That's what auditing is, supplies and transportation, to make sure it all fits in together. Really key things and importance about it, and this is the last bit of information we're going to go over. We need to make sure it helps us make sure we've got enough materials on hand to meet our customers' need. It also, if we're constantly reviewing it, ensures really good quality. If we're reviewing again, fair cost, that's the best thing about it all. And also making sure that our products are hitting the stores as quickly as possible for the customers to buy, so there's no lull in between, no sellouts. Bad things is that if it's really complicated process, if we spend so many resources on this, it might stop us from doing some other really good stuff in other areas. And it could be really, really expensive. If we're getting a highly trained professional to look at our supply chain management, that could be really time consuming, or it also could be really, really costly, because these staff members are really expensive to hire. Hopefully this all makes sense. Good luck with your last bit of questions for today. Shout out if you guys need anything. Thanks. Bye.